Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, Alaska's pipeline to the future, delivering oil today, sustaining operations for tomorrow, committed to safety, operating the 800-mile Trans-Alaska Pipeline since 1977.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Saturday's edition, live edition of Alaska Weather. On the first graphic here, just a reminder that the tsunami warning system test will be March 27th, reminding myself as well, at 10:15 a.m. You can go to the website and get all the information you want about the test that takes place here on Thursday, and then the Alaska Shakeout and all the other things going on as well. Now onto the satellite imagery. You can see lots of clear skies here across the Gulf of Alaska and into the Panhandle, as well as northward all the way up to about the Arctic coast. And this is not low clouds burning off in the afternoon sun. It's just the ground warming up from the afternoon sun quite rapidly in the morning hours, and the cooler areas kind of hanging in a little grayer there up over the Yukon Valley areas, of course the North Slope, and then back out here to the west. This roughly the ice edge right there, and there was some clearing down across the Alaska Peninsula, even though there was some pretty good rain with this band right through here, about a half inch in the last 24 hours falling at Kodiak. But that has ended this afternoon. The back edge of this cloud mass here creeping ever so slowly westward there. So you may see some breaks here any time there across Kodiak, with most of the moisture appearing to have ended and sliding off to the southwest across the peninsula. Just some hit and miss showers going on there today, and a little bit of moisture around the Unalaska area, but the remainder of the Fox Islands there looked like could have seen a fair amount of sunshine during the afternoon hours. And then some of this moisture here brought about a tenth of an inch of rain overnight to places like Annette, and some of that fell in the form of snow. Some of that caught Ketchikan as well, but today nothing but sunshine down there, and so quite windy in channeled areas of the southeast coast, especially say from Stevens Passage, and of course Lynn Canal, northerlies gusting almost to 60 miles an hour this morning, but those all seem to be trending downwards this afternoon. As the pressures relax a little bit here, mostly that system having pulled off to the north, and then another Arctic front pushing into the northwest interior, or the northwest Canada up there. Roll that again, and you can see right through here, and some of that trailing back to just up off the eastern Arctic coast. So noticed clouds did thicken up and lower a little bit this afternoon on the east side there at Barter Island, or Kaktovik, and as the trailing edge of that front swings through, you may see some flurries come through, and the push isn't real strong, so what moves in there may hang around a little bit there. Otherwise, just nothing but clear skies here over the interior. Again, a little bit of moisture just kind of skiffing by the central Arctic coast. They're not really doing much. All the action out here to the west, winds gusting to 60 miles an hour there at Shemya. Temperatures in the mid-30s and snow falling throughout the day today. So the warm air coming up on those southerly winds, not all that warm, but definitely be above freezing as it pushes into Adak. Rain and snow tonight. Light winds there today, so quite a sharp increase in the winds just out to the west. And this band of moisture will weaken right through here, bringing the rain to Kodiak, and scattered more variable rainfall amounts here over the Alaska Peninsula. Some of this developing out over the southeast Bering Sea. Otherwise, not bad. Winds on the light side here. High pressure dominating all of Alaska with the centers over the Northwest Territories. Pretty strong center up there on the Arctic coast. And then the trailing edge of that Arctic front coming southward currently. Looked like it already passed Nunavik over here, Mackenzie River Delta area. Northwest winds and temperatures falling back near zero. Not much cooling with that. The big push will be off southward into Canada there. But again, some flurries may catch the eastern Arctic coast. Might see some clouds, only resulting in some lower visibilities and ceilings for a period of time that could last into tomorrow. Otherwise, pretty nice down here over the southeast coast today once this area of moisture moved off into British Columbia with a lot of sunshine there. And then that front we'll see tonight swings eastward, but you can see weakening, probably losing, already have lost the storm force winds, probably will lose the gales as well. Could start out gale force around Adak, but definitely coming down to that 25 to 30 knot range there from the southeast with mixture of precipitation and this moisture area actually associated with an upper level trough that's over the Bering Sea here, and that's kind of the trough axis there aloft. So that lines up perfectly there with the rain and snow showers here over the Alaska Peninsula, mostly in the form of snow up over the southeast Bering, but that should stay south of Nunavak Island and east of the Pribilofs. Just some variable clouds there, but clear right out to the coastline, northern Bristol Bay. No change tonight. Light winds all through the interior. Temperatures again falling anywhere from 15 to 25 below zero. Coldest again up over the Yukon Flats in the Eagle area. Some maybe Northway as well, but should become clear here for the eastern Arctic coast as that front moves off to the southeast there, and actually the high pressure pulls off to the southeast behind it, and so that'll tend to turn the wind flow around to the south or become offshore. So that definitely a clearer pattern wind-wise, but those winds are really light up there. And even here along the coast, maybe looking at 10 to 20 miles an hour at the most. Not much wind, again, just clouds tonight for Kodiak Island, variable clouds, northern edge there right along Fognak Island. So clear all the way up into Prince William Sound. Maybe some variable clouds over the Panhandle, and that's about it. This next system here, well to the south, that's going to begin pushing northeast, and that front should bring a chance of moisture back into the mostly Dixon entrance area, but a little bit better chance probably tomorrow night there for the Net, Heidelberg areas, but no change here to the north. Maybe winds a little bit lighter tomorrow, still looking at small craft, possibly gale force gusts, Lynn Canal and the northern areas, but lighter winds down to the south. Light wind conditions here for all of the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, as well as nothing but sunshine. Kodiak Island could be a mostly sunny day there tomorrow, all depending on how the cloud formations orient themselves to the wind flow, but it could be pretty sunny or could be partly cloudy, but either way it's going to be dry and rain free. Another weak disturbance coming over another high center that now forms over the North Slope areas, and that again could graze the eastern Arctic coast, a little bit of cloudiness, but not much in the way of anything else other than that, and that could kick the winds up possibly to 25-30 miles an hour in gusts for a short time during the day tomorrow. Otherwise, this moisture with the upper level trough in this position still staying south of Nunavak Island or off to the southwest right here, but right across the Alaska Peninsula for periods or for cloudy skies, periods of rain, fog, drizzle, but nothing very heavy at all. Nothing more than, say, 1/10 of an inch. Some areas will see less than that. And then this very weak front pushing eastward, again, having trouble even getting rain into the Nikolsky area. And you can see all the wind with it now back up to the northwest, just some breezes here. And then another cold front pushing eastward here. It appears it's going pretty good clip to the east, but it really isn't. It's about this point. It's going to start mostly turning to the north and just merge with this front here that should lie roughly in this position, probably midday Monday. Again, chance of rain and snow, Alaska Peninsula, exiting the eastern Aleutians, back to the northwest, but still just grazing Nunavak Island and St. Lawrence Island. Only some scattered snow showers back to the west. Winds pretty light for what they could be out there. And still no change. Lots of sunshine again here from Kodiak Island, the North Gulf Coast areas, even into the southeast coast. And that'll extend all the way up right into the Arctic Ocean there, with the high center sitting just off the coast. That'll swing the winds around more to the east, but quite light from the east there. And then southeast winds here, of course, that means clear skies and sunshine up there as well. Same thing across the Seward Peninsula, light winds, sunshine, clear skies right down into the deltas as well as all of Bristol Bay. And it looks like pretty good chance of seeing some light rain move into the southern southeast coastal areas there. And definitely that's going to be the start of probably 2 or 3 rainy days that'll be over the southern areas there, probably lasting Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe into Thursday while the northern areas stay dry. In fact, it looks like the northern, or all of the interior will stay sunny and dry, probably at least through Wednesday, possibly Thursday as well. Then after which we'll have to watch for something that might break through here from the Bering Sea farther out, that if it does, it'd mostly go up to the central and northern coastal areas and be quite weak. Otherwise, temperatures this afternoon, lower 40s here over Bristol Bay and the Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island areas, as well as the Alaska Peninsula, kind of a range upper 30s to lower 40s. More clouds, fog, and rain here on the Pacific side, kept Sand Point down to 37 as compared to 42 at Cold Bay. 41 in Juneau and mid-40s down farther to the south there, 38 Cordova, 35 in Anchorage or the 20 at Gulkana, 37 up the valley is in Susitna Valley at Talkeetna. Tanana Valley, upper 20s or mid-20s to lower 30s. Fairbanks at 31 this afternoon, one of the warmer locations. Contrast that with 19 at Fort Yukon, 23 at Bettles, 10 degrees Anaktuvik, and near 0 along the Arctic coast there to 5 above. Warm spots at Kaktovik with 6 degrees. 13 at Kotzebue, 7 degrees at Shishmaref, and a 26 at Nome. 18 at Unalakleet, and mid-20s here through the mid and lower Yukon and Kuskokwim River Valley areas, and then closer to 20 here over the deltas to teens out along the coast. Nome 26, Savungad 21, and going down to St. Paul, 33 degrees there, about the same in St. George with 34. 34 also at Cape Newenham and Dillingham with Unalaska at 38. Otherwise, the remainder of the Aleutians close to 40 degrees. For the lows tonight, look for 30s out in that area. Upper 20s for the Pribilofs, definitely cooler, but staying above 0 until you get north of the Bering Strait there, and then definitely back below 0 in the 15 to 25 below range here over the Yukon Valley areas and a short ways to the south with below 0 readings possible in the Copper River Basin, and teens and 20s to locally 0 to 5 here over portions of south central Alaska. 20s to mid-30s or 20s to near 30 over the Panhandle. And for the highs tomorrow, recovering nicely up to 30s to maybe even 40 degrees there in the Tanana Valley. Mostly in the 30s here, Copper River Basin, south central Alaska, but even the Susitna Valley could push 40 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Upper 30s to near 40 for the Panhandle, lower 40s Alaska Peninsula out on into the Aleutians. A little bit cooler up over the Bering Sea and near freezing along the coast. VFR tomorrow, Kodiak Island, much of the Gulf of Alaska, all the way up to the Arctic coast, as well as just about all of the southeast coast. I want to mention this area here probably showing up tomorrow afternoon as that next system that's still a fair ways out to the southwest starts to increase the moisture there. So should be a pretty nice day in that area. And then the IFR continuing here, especially on the Pacific side of the peninsula. Marginal VFR may be getting up to Nunivak Island, and then with that weakening weather front coming eastward slowly, areas of IFR with that. And looking at the passes, same as yesterday, all of them, VFR in most cases, Celine's visibility is unlimited. Western Alaska Range, none of them seeing much in the way of any significant wind or turbulence as well. And of course, clear skies, that means no icing either. So all Portage, VFR, Chilkoot and White, even there looking really good. So moving on to the freezing levels at the surface here, just north of the Pribilof Islands into northern Bristol Bay, and then up along the coastline, cutting through the northern southeast coast. 2,000 feet here, a little bit farther to north this evening, but that all kind of collapsing back down there with the front weakening and the wind flow weakening as well. The south to north wind flow really not too significant, so 2,000 feet even having trouble getting up to Kodiak Island, and then mostly to the south, cutting across the Queen Charlotte's. Icing threats, well, none here over the interior or the southeast coast. that moisture with the upper trough here. Could see some areas of rime, maybe mixed icing, mostly of the trace amounts to light varieties. I don't think there'll be much of anything moderate-wise. And then with that frontal boundary out here, again below about 11,000 feet over the central Aleutians, extending back to the northwest. Looking at the winds aloft chart, big area high pressure here over northwest Alaska tomorrow. Pretty much holding for the next several days. Actually, it'll probably begin to slip up to the north a little more over the next, well, into the middle of next week, which may allow something, or actually will keep the storminess out over the western Aleutians. And then this branch of the jet stream here will keep the southern southeast coast wet probably into the middle of the week, with sunshine continuing here over the interior. 9,000 foot winds, 20 to 25 knots. Strongest here as you get out into the northern Bering Sea, where they could kick up as high as 40 knots with 35 knot winds there across Norton Sound. Pretty light right through here, 25 knots again clipping the eastern Arctic coast, and 30 to 35 knot winds here for the Alaska Peninsula in toward the Pribilofs, but very light winds, kind of a hint of a weak low developing in this area, but winds will be light. As you can see, just 5 knots and 3,000 foot winds. A little different orientation, more of a high ridge right through this area here. So easterlies 25 to 30 knots, becoming east-southeast there across St. Lawrence Island and the Bering Strait. Back around to the westerlies, strongest there on the eastern Arctic coast, much lighter back here to the west. South to southwest, 20 to 30 knots there for the Aleutians. Turbulence-wise, with some winds here looking mechanical, mostly for small aircraft, light to isolated moderate, below 4,500 feet there, say from the Alaska Range here, back out along the south coast of the Seward Peninsula, Norton Sound, moderate chop, northern Bering Sea, and then also here, southeast winds. So Kodiak Island, the Aleutian Range, Alaska Peninsula, mechanical moderate chop there tomorrow, and less of that out toward the western areas. After the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
The quake has generated sea waves up to 30 to 35 feet.
The 1964 earthquake and tsunamis all but destroyed 5 of Alaska's 7 largest communities. 106 of the quake's 115 fatalities were caused by tsunamis.
Huge wave. It was water, lumber, and debris just coming down like it was just going to engulf me.
The largest tsunami that hit Seward came from Prince William Sound. But much like Lituya Bay, landslides in Seward kicked up monster waves at the shoreline that rolled out in all directions with little warning.
Oh my God, here are the oil.
These are the fuel tanks of Standard
yes.
Oil that were burning.
Yes.
And they tipped over.
Yes.
And the tracks actually went clear down through here, but you see this all fell in and then just dropped the tracks right in the water.
Brothers John and Bob Eads were building a dock a mile or so south of Seward when the ground started shaking.
This is where we were, though, when the wave came down on us. We were right on the beach there at Lowell Point when we heard these. It sounded to me like drums, big drums beating, way off in the mountains. And all at once the ground we were standing on was just rolling up and down. They say it went up and down 8 feet. Then that triggered this wave that came down on top of it. And see, that ground shook for 5 minutes like that. And this came down on us within the next 2 minutes. We knew waves out at sea travel about 15, 18 miles an hour. We didn't realize this baby was going 100 miles an hour.
We seen the wave, we got in the car, my brother-in-law and I, and of course the road we had was only about 2 blocks long. We got up to 60 miles an hour in 2 blocks. And Mac, he was in the pickup, in the 4x4, 3/4 ton pickup, military. When the wave hooked us, then we went with it into the trees. Then there was a 45-foot boat came down on top of us.
And I never went 20 feet where that wave hit me right in the back and just started going me end over end like this. I didn't even know which way was up, and everything went black because that water was all mud, you know, you couldn't see anything. We had a huge stack of timbers there that we were using to build this marine railway that we were building. They were 12 by 12 timbers, 20 feet long, and each one of them weighed about 1,000 pounds. There was a huge stack of them, and they were going right with me. And they were just hammering that pickup to a pulp now. And I knew if I ever got out of it, I would never survive one of those blows with one of those timbers. I finally had come up for air. But this happens in seconds, you know. I mean, I traveled 900 feet, but when you're going 50 miles an hour, you can go 900 feet in just a few seconds.
Oh, sure.
Whenever I got out of that pickup, these timbers were still around this pickup, just terrible. And one of them hit me right full length, the whole side of me here, from my ankle clear to my shoulder, hit me lengthways. It's a good thing it hit me that way, or it would have killed me. It would have hit me endways. But it hit me full length, turned me black and blue full length too. But it also crippled my leg where I couldn't walk.
We thought it was a sea lion grunting. We couldn't figure out what happened to him. We heard him grunting down there, so my brother-in-law went down there, and he was on the road, hanging on to an alder bush there to keep him getting washed back in the bay. He was almost drowned.
Besides, I'd ingested quite a bit of water in my lungs and my stomach, and I had heavy clothes on. I was full of sand. I weighed 200 pounds, but I probably weighed 300 pounds. Finally, I just laid there, and I couldn't even yell or anything. I just made a grunting noise, and that's what they heard. They got me out of there in good shape, or the next wave would have got me.
Several weeks went by before Bob remembered he'd been filming the burning oil tanks with his 8mm camera just before the wave hit. He told journalists from Life magazine about it, and the search was on for that film.
In that submerged car that I was in, my movie camera was in there. And about 3 weeks later, I got the movie camera back, out of it, and put it in the bathtub and washed it out. It was full of mud and sand and stuff, salt water.
They sent the film to a lab in California that analyzed every soggy frame.
And they blowed up each frame, and they knew the speed of the camera, of the 8mm, and from that they could tell the heights and the speed of that wave.
And what did they say?
It was about 125 feet high, and it was traveling at about 100 miles an hour.
Though there was nothing funny about coming face to face with a life-threatening tsunami, the Eads brothers had to laugh about a note that came back with Bob's film.
They had a note in there that said, "This film has been wet. In the future, if you want good pictures, keep your film dry." And we got a kick out of that because we didn't have much choice.
There were other laughs along our tsunami journey. You don't want to miss the fishing styles of the Bears of Katmai.
Welcome back. North winds, about 25 knots, maybe some gale force gusts here over the northern inside waters. Lighter winds down to the south, off the coast, strongest winds up, maybe up to 25 knots, coming up in the afternoon to 25 knots. Lighter and more northeast up toward the north. Then for Monday, again, possible gale force winds now developing on the south coast throughout the day. Small craft advisories, 25 knot winds, gales back into Lynn Canal and some of the other areas here of the northern inside waters, but some areas will see a lot less wind, and 25 to 30 knot winds along the central and north coast. South central Alaska, Cook Inlet, light winds tomorrow. Same thing for Prince William Sound. Northeast winds increasing here, 25 knots, small craft advisories even down toward Kodiak. Could see gale force winds maybe toward Sitkinak, 20 knots in Shelikof Strait. And for Monday, light variable winds, Cook Inlet, Bristol Bay, south of the Forelands, northeast 10 knots, then back to 5, and pretty light northeast breeze here all the way through Shelikof Strait. Winds down to 15 knots here for the east side of Kodiak Island. Very light northeast winds all the way up into the North Gulf Coast. And then for the Bristol Bay zone, northeast at 20. Easterlies 20 knots here down the coastline. Small craft advisories on the Pacific side from the northeast, southwest of Kodiak to east from Sandpoint to Cape Sarachev. For the Monday outlook, lighter winds, just barely a breeze here for Bristol Bay at 10 knots, southeast 15 on down the coastline. Easterlies on the Pacific side and maybe 20 knot winds there southwest of Kodiak. For the Aleutians, southeast winds pretty light across the Fox Islands tomorrow, just 10 to 15 knots. And east or west of Nikolsky pick up to 20 to 25 knot winds in advance of that front, but that wind field weakening with the farther east it goes, the winds diminish, and then westerlies behind it, coming back up to 25 knots there towards Shemya. That'll hold through Monday out there, light westerlies from Amchitka, in toward Adak. Southerlies at about 20 there for both Adak and Atka. Then pretty light winds in store for the eastern areas. For the southwest coast, looks like Nunivak Island down to Cape Newenham, southeast at about 20. Southeast 15 for the Pribilofs, otherwise easterlies 15 to 20 knots, strongest here across the northern Bering Sea. And for Monday, pretty light westerlies now behind whatever is left of that front here as it passes across the Pribilofs, just southeast 15 knots there along the coast on up to St. Lawrence Island, and the northern Bering now becoming more southerly but light. And for the Arctic coast, westerlies 5 to 10 knots. Again, could be a little gusty here on the extreme east side for a period of time tomorrow or late tonight and tomorrow, then dropping back off. Very light winds here on the west side, southeast 15 for the Chukchi Sea. Monday looking much the same, southwest 15. Pretty light winds along the Arctic coast there. Probably less than what this shows. I'd say more in the 5 to 10 knot range. And for the Arctic coast up here, sunshine or clear skies tonight and probably through tomorrow as well. And again, clear skies all the way down into the Gulf of Alaska. Just some variable clouds possible there for the southeast coast, and still a little bit of moisture here along the Alaska Peninsula, standing up between the Pribilofs and the coast here. So just about missing everyone. This storm mostly shifting off to the east. This front weakening as it pushes off to the east, and stronger wind field shifting back up toward Russia. And then we'll see another high center develops up here over the north slope in the Brooks Range tomorrow for continued sunshine with light wind conditions there. A little bit of moisture clipping the east side of the coastline, and then moisture beginning to increase a little bit here over the southern southeast coast. And it looks like rain down in that area starting Monday through Wednesday. Have a great evening, and thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.